Hello everyone, welcome to GuiNet Technologies. So this is Pankaj again, and today we're having a very interesting topic to discuss and something very new because we keep doing our discussion about the routing switching that is based on the CCNA, based on the CCNP, right? CCNA, CCNP, right? That is in core and NRC. Also, we keep doing the discussion about the Palo Alto Firewall, SDWAN, that is the Cisco Viptela, Hindi in English, Versa also we are going to launch in very soon. So why I'm just going to make a very new and different topic today, because that is something we keep learning the Palo Alto firewalls, right? And in this Palo Alto firewalls, we having a feature that we integrate our Active Directory server that is known as the AD server with the Palo Alto server, Palo Alto firewall. So whenever any user want to do any kind of communication from the server or any PC from the firewall will take certain action. And that is, you can see in the lab topology itself, there is the AD server and this is the Palo Alto firewall. So this topic basically we cover in our syllabus in the Palo Alto, and where we discuss how this can be integrated and how the things is can be controlled by the firewall to firewall based on the AD settings and based on the Active Directory users, where the user need to join the domain, and based on their username and user details, not even the IP, how the restrictions can be happen on the Palo Alto firewall. So without any further delay, let's start doing our understanding. So in this tutorial, what we are going to understand, we see how this AD server installation and how this configuration is going to happen, right? So the actual integration with the Palo Alto firewall we'll do in our live classes, where we keep doing the things in while learning the Palo Alto firewall. So let's start our study here. So the first thing, whenever you just start to do this AD server integration and all, you just have to be the right image in your EVNG. So for that, if you want to know how the image and how EVNG can be installed, so you can go and watch this video in my channel, and that is already available. You just have to search like EVNG installation process, where you'll get how the EVNG can be installed. Here you can see Windows Server is already available, which is the Windows Server 2016, and that required the one CPU and 8 GB RAM around. You can increase the RAM, but not decrease. At least this is the recommended. You should take this value, right? And then you just have to save this, and then your one new node is going to be added here as a Windows Server. So for time being, we already added this node here, that is a Windows Server, and that we have named as a AD server, right? Here you can see we added as a FTP server. So what next? So let me just delete it. So what I'll do, I'll just simply start this topology. So by clicking on here, you can see my all nodes are getting started. You can see. So probably my Windows server is going to be also start. So just we have to wait for a few seconds, and then it is going to be start. Okay. So now probably you can see my all device has been started. So I just have to click double on this server, and this is going to be, show what is the status of server. So once this will be completely booted, then my server is ready to serve, right? So you just have to wait for a few seconds, then it will be ready. Okay, so you guys can see still it's a booting up. So just have to wait because the getting device is ready. You guys can see here. So now probably it's 100% ready. And finally, you can see it is almost done. Preparation of the Windows server is almost done. So what next? Now you can see my server is ready. So the first thing what we have to do, we have to check once this server is ready, we have to check what is the IP address assigned to this server, because we never assign any IP address to this server. So we simply, basically, any of the server, whatever we have, we just have to assign the IP address. So here you can see I have given the IP address 192.168.10.11. So probably I'll go and assign the IP address to this server. But how it is going to happen? Let server manager restart, the services. So you can say this is a server manager, where we can see the dashboard of the server, where we can add the different role and features, and we can see that which kind of server it is running on this particular server manager. And then here, if you go on the local server, so it is asking for the gate update available for this server. So probably we can just simply ignore it because we don't have internet connected for time being. So we can just simply ignore it. So what I'll do, I'll just close it. I don't need any kind of updates. And then I'll go on the local server. So if I clicking on my local server, you can see here, this server name is, it's showing as server 2016. So this is the server name. And by default, you can see it is having the firewall features, remote management feature that is enabled, RDP feature that is enabled, NIC teaming is disabled, and this is the IP addressing and all. So by default, it is taking the IP address from DSCP, which is currently, we don't have any DSCP installed in this domain. So probably it is not going to work for me. So what I'll do, I'll just simply go and assign the manual IP address on this server. So I'll click here, simple, and I'll go in the property, and I'll go in the IPv4, and I'll just use this, and I'll just put 192.168.10 dot. I'll just put 11. And then here I'll just assign the IP address, and default gateway, probably for time being it is not required. But once you integrate the Palo Alto firewall, you should give this default gateway, right? 192.168.10.1. So let me just give that. That is default gateway. And this is my IP address. So this is how I have just defined the IP address to the server. Okay, and click OK. And now you can see in my status, my server has this IP address, what I just defined it. If you want to check it by this command prompt, you just have to go in the CMD. So you just have to go in the search window. You just have to type the CMD. And after CMD, just you have to put the IP config. And you can see this is the server IP. Okay, so that's fine. Gateway would be not reachable because the firewall is not configured, but no need to worry at all, right? So for the first thing, we just assign the IP address, and if you refresh from here, you'll get the IP address detail from Ethernet, right? So that's fine. So now we are good to go, and this is our server name. So now the next thing, I just want to enable the AD feature on this server. So what I have to do, I have to go on the again dashboard, and I will go and click on the add roles and features. Okay, so after clicking add roles and features, I'll click next, and I'll select the role based feature based installation, role based or feature based installation. Then I'll next. I do not need to change anything. By default, select the server from the server pool, and this is the IP address, this is my server name, it is already selected. So I'll just click next. And here, what I have to select, I will select Active Directory domain service. So you make sure that the second name, not Active Directory certificate services and no other services. Just you have to click on the Active Directory domain services. You just have to click here. And once you click, the one of the pop-up window will come here, and just you have to click here, add features. So these are the Active Directory features we just have to add here, right? So I'll just click add. So once I'll add, this services has been added. So now I'll just click the add button, the next button. And then you can see group policy management has been also added here. And I'll just click next. And I don't need to do anything. I just click next. And then this is the window is going to be show. Once the server installation is going to be done, it is going to restart. So you just have to click the install button, and you have to just wait. So meanwhile, it's installing. So you just have to wait. So just wait. Okay. So now guys, you can see my server installation has been completely it's successfully completed. So you don't need to close it, right? So what you have to do, you just have to click promote this server as a domain controller, right? DC. So we called in short from DC, that is a domain controller. So if you're not going to do this process, probably this AD services and AD server is not going to fully functional. So not close it, just click this on the domain controller, promote this server as a domain controller. So I just click on that, and then it is going to ask, you just want to add this particular domain in existing forest or existing controller, or you want to just create a new forest for this particular domain or domain controller. So what I'll do, I'll just click the new one, and I'll just put a name because we are doing the lab. So I just put the lab.local. Your first name could be anything. You can put anything, but your extension should be .local. Okay. So this is how you can put the root domain name. And then you just have to click the next. And after clicking the next, you just have to select the highest, server setting things. That is a technical review for the I lost the connectivity. No need to worry. Let me see if I connect again. Yes, I connected again. So you can see here, no need to worry anything, just you have to leave that default value. And here two things need to be already selected. No need to change anything. Just you have to put the password. Any password you can put here. And this password you should remember because this is the final verification. Let me see, guys. Let me just connect it again. And now it looks fine. So let me just put the password again. There is something wrong. No need to worry. So I just like, okay. So after this, what I'll do, I'll again click next. No need to change anything here. So I'll click next. And it is going to take by default net BIOS domain name, whatever we have given, that is a lab.local. So the same name it is going to take. So you just have to wait. So you can see this is lab already taken. What is the name I have given? Not extension required here. And I'll click the next. And you just leave that all default setting. No need to change anything. And this is the final verification. You can verify every setting is fine or not. So because we are taking the default one, so no need to change anything. You just have to click next. And once next is done, the installation process will be start. So you just have to click on the installation. So it will take some time. So you can see all prerequisite checks passed successfully. And now we are ready to install the server. So I have to click on the install. And then this installation process started. Once this installation will complete, your server will be restart. So you just have to wait to complete the installation process. So my installation has been completed and we are about to sign out the server because we have successfully installed the services. So we just have to wait to restart the server. So now you can see my services has been restarted and server is, doing the restart process again. So we just have to wait. And once this restart will come, then we'll see what has changed inside of the server, right? So guys, my server has been fully, restarted. So now we are good to go. So you just have to click on the server and you will find that they will ask to log in the server. So that username is admin. You no need to put any password because this is not password protected server. So you just have to click arrow button and this server is going to be login. You can see this server is start logging it. So now we are good. So I'm inside of the server. So just give them some time, then server will be ready. And then we'll go and check the server manager. So now we can see in the server manager, everything looks normal because we can see the dashboard itself. But now what we have to do, because we have done the AD services configuration, so we just have to go in the tools. And after going in tools, probably it will take some time because it's like syncing up. So now it's almost ready. So I'll click on the tools. And if I go in the Active Directory user and computers, you can see this is the things on which we have to click, not the Active Directory site and services. You just have to click Active Directory users and computers. So once I click on Active Directory user and computers, one window is going to be open for the Active Directory. So you just have to wait. You guys can see here, this is the window for which I was referring. So this window has been finally Active Directory user and computers has been created. And here, if you click on this lab.local, this is server which I just created. If I just expand, just clicking on the arrow, you'll find there is the domain controller. And if you click this domain controller, you'll find the name of the domain controller, that is a server name. And this is the server that is 2016, which we just done the configuration. And if you go in the property, you'll find some more detail about the server, right? Operating system and the member and whatever the every other detail we have. But no need to worry. We can see correctly domain control has been updated here. So till now we are good here to just to create the domain controller. Once we're done with the domain controller, then what next? So the next thing, if you want to create any user in this AD server, so you just have to go here and just want to create any user. So what users? Let's say suppose I just want to create my Palo. Let me just create a test user, test one user. So this is my test one. This is the first name, and I can put any last name, lab, test one lab, right? And I can just put the name as a test one. So this is going to create, and the password I can use any password, right? Any password, and then you just select the password never expired and just select next and the finish. So now I just created this user. If you want to create the groups and you want to map the multiple user in the groups, you can also do that. So how can you create that? We just go in the groups. Sorry, just click on the any blank place and just go in the new and just go in the groups, not in users. Here you can go and you can just put any name like a Palo Alto batch. And after that, you just click OK. So this is a group has been created. One more thing, once you create any user, give them administrator right. So how it can be given? So for this user, if you want to give the admin right, you just the test one I have just created. So you just go in the member and just add here and just put administrator and just check it. So you can see this admin right has been provided to this user. If you want to give the admin right, you can give. If you don't want to give, you don't give. For our lab test, it might be required to admin right. So just I have given. Even you want to map this user in this particular group, you can do that. So what you have to do, again, you have to just click here and member of and just add Palo Alto. So this is going to be part of the Palo Alto batch as well. So now you can just apply and click. So you can see if I click on the Palo Alto batch now, I can see the member, you can see the test user is added here. Or if you want to add more users, not directly from here, you can add also here. You just have to put the name. So likewise, let's say suppose I just want to create another user. Let's say suppose I use test2 and I can just put the lab and test2. Here I next password, I can just put anything, any password. It is never expired. So I'll just select OK and finish. So this user has been created. So now this time I'm going to add this user from the group. So I can just click it here and I can just make the member from here. So I just use the test. So it will show which one. One is already added. So I'll use the 2 and I'll click OK. So you can see test 2 is also start showing. I'll just click OK. So now I just created 2 users and it has been added. So now it's good. So now after that, if I want to join this PC on this domain controller, so what I have to do, I just have to start this PC. Okay. So might be this PC has been started. You can see. So it is giving some error. So no need to worry. I'll open the again. Let me just stop this. And let me just restart it. So this PC has been started. You can see. And I can just wait to start this PC normally. Let me see. Like press enter, not safe mode. Okay, so I believe this PC having some issue, but no need to worry. Let me see if this PC can start. So I can already see this PC is starting. So I can just go and start this PC again. And I will see for this PC. Might be this PC having some issue. No need to worry. I have another PC. So I can use. This is the beauty of the virtual machine. Anytime you can just use any other PCs, whatever you want. So it is going to be start very soon. So you can see Windows start normally. So my PC is now ready. I just have to put the password that is 123 and I just click OK. So this is my PC. Okay. So the first thing, this PC, I have to define some IP address. So you can see my domain controller IP address is 192.168.10.11. So here I'll just assign the IP address of this PC is 192.168.10.10. So I just make sure this PC is able to reach to my domain controller. This is the prerequisite of any kind of this uh, domain controller or domain joining process. If you don't have reachability, probably you cannot join the domains. So what I'll make sure, I will make sure this PC having a reachability. So I just adjusted the screen resolution. So my PC looks nice. And here, if you go in this CMD, and if I try to run IP config, you can see this is getting a PIPA IP address. So what I'll do first thing, I'll just go and assign the IP address for this PC. And after going here, I'll go in the adapter setting. I'll go in the property. And after going in property, I'll go in the IPv4. I'll click here. I'll just give the IP address 192.168.10.10. Here, subnet mask, default gateway, you can leave it. Now, here is the catch. So again, we have to define some kind of DNS server and alternate DNS server. So whenever you define the domain controller, so AD server, you also have to enable the DNS services. If you're not going to enable the DNS services, then it is going to create some point of like any point of the problem or this, to make the communication happen. And also whatever the domain controller you have, your that domain controller IP acting as a DNS server. So for my case, my domain controller IP is 192.168.10.11. So this is going to act as a my DNS server for the internal resolution. Okay. How DNS is going to be set up in the AD server, I'll tell you later. Also, if you want to meet the alternate global DNS, you can just put it here. So I'm just using this one as a DNS server. Okay. I'm not using any gateway. If you want to use, you can just use the firewall. It is not going to create any issue, but firewall interface is not configured, but I'm just doing it so you guys can at least understand. I'll click OK. And here you can see this is the IP address. So now if I go and check here, if I'll go and check here IP config, so this is my IP config. And if I try to ping my domain controller, that is AD server, see it is reachable. But let's say suppose I not configure the DNS server, which IP I just defined in the DNS controller setting, I mean this IP address, then probably if I try to ping lab.local, which is my domain controller name, it is not going to ping. So let me just remove this one. Okay. Let me just show you what I mean. So if I going to ping here, lab, this is my domain controller name, lab.local. So probably it is reachable. It is going to be reachable. See, it is getting reply. Why it is replying? Because this is for this request, it is going to this IP address to resolve that. And this server having this IP address and this domain mapping. That's why it is replying. But if I go and change the domain controller detail from here, it is not going to ping. That's why it is very important to put the AD server IP as a domain controller. You can just put the like global DNS in both alternate and, or you could just remove the below one. And now if you see that it is not going to work. So this is the IP address, this is your DNS, right? And if I try to ping, it is pinging. Let me see it again. Might be it having the cache. That's why it's a pinging, but definitely it is not going to ping because we don't have DNS entry for this particular server, right? So if I just, let me see CMD again. And if I try to ping lab.local, it is pinging. Why it is pinging? Because it should not ping. So what I can do, let me just restart the PC and I'll show you again how it is pinging or not. Might be there's a cache creating the problem. So let me just give me 1 minute. So what I'm just going to restart the PC and I'll see. So my PC has been started. I just put it the username and password, right? And I'll go again in CMD and I'll check the IP config. You can see this is the IP config. And if I check /all, I'll see the DNS record also. That is why this is the global DNS. So what I'll try to do, I'll just try to ping again lab.local, and probably it will not work. So what I mentioned, because it was pinging earlier, because we having the cache and it was keep using the cache, it was pinging, but now it is not pinging. So now let me do one more thing. Now let me just change this DNS record again, and I'll just make as a primary DNS, what is my AD server DNS IP address, and then we'll check again it's pinging or not. So what I'll do, I'll go here and I will just make as a DNS entry 192.168.10.11, and I'll just put the secondary DNS 8.8.8.8. Now it's fine. So that's close. I'll check again ipconfig all, and see my lab.local is start pinging again because my DNS record has been changed to this address. So now it looks fine. So the next step, my this PC can able to reach to this AD server, right? And now I want to join this PC as a, I just want to join this PC to do this domain controller. So how it is going to join? So I have to go on this PC, okay? The PC which I want to join the domain controller. And what I'll do after joining the domain controller, I will log into the username password what I just created, the test1 and test2. Any of the username password I'll use, and I'll try to log in from there. So let me show you again what username password I created. So this is the test user 1 and 2 created. So right now this PC is not logged in with any username and password, but after joining the domain, I'll just log in with the user credential what I created in the AD server. So I'll click on this computer and I'll go in the property, and you can see in the property, there is an option to change setting. So I'll click on the change setting, and you want to click on the change here to join the domain. You can see to rename this computer or change its domain or work group, click the change. So I want to click on the change, and now I want to join the domain. So I'll click on the domain and I'll give the domain name, that is a lab.local. So this is your domain name. I'll click OK. And now it is asking the username and password. So for which you want to join the domain. So now I'll use the username and password. That is my, test one, which I created there, and the password I can put here. So this is going to join the domain, right? Any username password which I created in the AD for this domain joining. So see, this PC has joined the domain, right? Welcome to the lab.local, and this is going to restart. So your computer must restart to apply the changes. I click OK. So it is going to restart very soon. So you just have to wait. So restart now, and we just have to wait. So guys, finally my PC has been restarted. So it's asking to unlock this PC to use a control or delete. So how basically you can do that? You just have to use your computer keyboard, and just you have to press Shift Control Alt, or you can just use the Control Alt and Shift. Let me just say use. So you just have to press Shift Control Alt, and then it is going to use this window is going to come, and you just use the on-screen keyboard, and here you can just press Control Alt and delete. So then this is going to be come like this way, and again you have to use your personal computer keyboard, just Shift Control Alt, and then this window will come, and then you just click None, and here you just have to. No need to use any password, just you have to click switch user, because you want to log in this PC with the user ID which is created on the AD server. So what I'll do, I'll use the test one user, and I will just try to log in with them. So this is a test one user, and this is the AD based user, and I'll just I use the password. You can see this is my domain, and I'll just click OK. So now this PC will join the domain that is based on the AD credentials, which I created here, and it is fully functional. It will be fully functional. So now you can see this PC has been joined, and if you click on the CMD, And if I try to log in, see the IP address and all, you can see here, this, you can see this is your DNS server, this is your IP address referred, which I define, and this is the global DNS, right? And if you click on the My Computer, if you go in the properties, right, you can see this PC is joined the domain, and that is domain name is the lab.local. So this is fully functional PC, and this is based on the domain, not the local credential. It has been joined there. Now we successfully I'll go on the tools. So let me see why I'm losing the connection. So this is my server, you can see, and I'll go in the tools and click on the DNS. So if I click on the DNS, you can see this is my server on which I want to enable the DNS as well. So here you can see, if you double click on here, you'll find this server information. And after that, after getting on this server information, if you click on this arrow, you will see the forward domain. And you can see this is your domain, which you just created here. And after that, creating this forward domain, if you want to see and you want to go for the reverse lookup, so you just have to click on the reverse, and we just have to click a new reverse zone, right? For the reverse lookup, just need to select the primary zone and just select the default setting and just click OK. And IPv4 reverse lookup you just want to create, and you just have to give the network ID, which the third octet of the network ID for which you want to create that local server for the reverse lookup, right? And you just have to click next and allow, and that's you just have to finish. So why you are doing this? Because let's say suppose we having a forward lookup, we just having this server lookup. You can see all the lookup is going to land on this server lab.local, but also we require the reverse lookup. For that, we just created by clicking on the add new zone, and we just added the server information. This is how the reverse lookup we just created. So after creating this reverse lookup zone, we can see this is a reverse lookup, and this is the my, this two things like that server information we just have created. So we just have to add the new pointer that is for the for my server, for which basically we want to add this forward and reverse lookup. So you just have to click on, like you can see, you just go to browser and select the server and just the forward, and then you just have to select the your lab.local server, and then you just have to select the server, and then you just click OK, and this has been created. Okay, so once this has been created, then you just have to, no need to worry anything, you just have to test whether your domain is perfectly working or not working. So how basically we can check that? You just have to go on that your server, and here you just have to launch the nx lookup information. And after launching this NS lookup information, just have to type lab.local. And once you type, you can see this is resolving your IP address. That means this your forward take care about the creating the forward and reverse zone lookup. So for that, you just have to enable that forward and reverse zone lookup. So just any request is coming to me, that is going to reply by my server, right guys? So hope you understand. I know there is some problem with the lab, but no need to worry. I believe there is some instability with the internet. So hope you guys understand how this we can create the forward and reverse zone lookup. Thank you so much for watching.